Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar Research on Digitization and Society at Ashoka. I am Chanda Grover, a fifth year PhD student in Computer Science Department at Ashoka University. Joining me today is Professor Subhashish Banerjee, who is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Delhi. Professor Banerjee graduated in electrical engineering from Jadavpur University and went on to do his master's and PhD from Indian Institute of Sciences. He has been an academic visitor to Oxford University, Indian Institute of Sciences, University of Illinois, Hebrew University, Microsoft Research, among several others over the years. His primary area of research are computer vision and machine learning, with a special emphasis on geometric algorithms. Recently, he has also developed an interest in policy issues, digitization and society, including digital identity, electronic voting, data and privacy protection, and fairness and reliability of machine learning algorithms. He has also worked extensively on the design of computing and networking infrastructure and IT services and developed the supercomputing infrastructures at IIT Delhi, where he was the professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Welcome, Professor. Before we begin, I want to inform our audience that the deadline to apply for the integrated MSc PhD program at Ashoka University is 31st July 2023. I would request our audience to kindly type any questions they might have in the Q&A box provided on your Zoom screen, and we will address them towards the end of the session. Without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, Professor Banerjee.
Thank you, Chanda. Welcome to the webinar, everybody. Let me share my screen and then get started. So is the screen visible, Chanda?
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
Okay. So so the title of the webinar is the Research on Digitization and Society at Ashoka, but I take the liberty to change the title a little bit, and I thought I'll concentrate on CS at Ashoka. I'll of course talk about digitization and society, but since the integrated MSc PhD program is on computer science, I thought that I'll give a brief about computer science at Ashoka first, right? And then discuss digitization in society. And finally, I'll be happy to take on any questions that any of you may have. So Ashoka University, I suppose if you're at the webinar, you already know about Ashoka University, right? So it's a new university, started in 2010. In earnest, actually started giving degree only from 2015. So it's been almost a decade now. And we have seen the initial phases of Ashoka, right? So it has got a degree program. Its economics department is ranked number 1 in the country. It has been ranked among top 5 private universities in India. It is collaboration with some of the top colleges in the world. It is home to about 2,500 students from 229 Indian cities. So it is, in the last decade or so, Ashoka has made a mark for itself. And we have started the next phase where Ashoka will see significantly more funding. And in the next 10 years, it'll try to establish itself as a major university, not only in India, but in this part of the world, right? And finally, from 2035, I think that we hope to be a self-sustained top-class university in the world. Ashoka is a liberal arts college. It started off as a liberal arts college, fundamentally. It values diversity. It has got representation from 27 states in India, over 122 towns. 43% of the people are from non-metro cities, right? It has a significant percentage of women in leadership and in every aspect of academic life. Ashoka also has students with special needs. So diversity and inclusion has been a major theme of Ashoka University. And from a liberal arts college, from being fundamentally a liberal arts college, that's what Ashoka is known as. Ashoka is starting to build stewardship in the sciences. And this is started in earnest. the last 3 years, actually the COVID years, um, has seen a shifted emphasis towards the sciences. And the Trivedi School of Biosciences at Ashoka has established itself as one of the best biology uh, places in the country. It has some stellar researchers out there. It is among the sciences also the largest department with over 20 faculty members, fairly very large number of PhD students. It is getting a new building on its own. And from 2020 to 2023, it has seen a spectacular growth and success, right? School of Advanced Computing is what we are talking about. Right now, we just have a Department of Computer Science. But hopefully by next year, Ashoka will launch a School of Advanced Computing, right? And which will not only have the Department of Computer Science, but it'll have 4 new interdisciplinary centers to start with. Within 3 years, it'll have a School of Mathematical and Physical Sciences. And along with the Trivedi School of Biosciences, Ashoka is already building an innovation center with a 40,000 square feet building that will start innovation, incubation of startup companies. Will bring in a lot of industry support for Ashoka-led startups. And the focus, Ashoka does not have engineering. So the focus will fundamentally be on innovation in computer science and bioscience related areas, right? So this is going to be the major focus of Ashoka in the next decade or so. Computer science at Ashoka, we are providing through this program a unique opportunity to students with exposure in mathematics to shift towards computer science, right? So do a 2 years master's and continue to do a PhD, which is additional 4.5 years, and do computer science in a way that, so computer science in India is primarily located within an engineering institution. So I have all my life taught at the Indian Institute of Technology at Delhi, spent almost all my adult life there. Prior to that, I was a student at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And these are large engineering institutions. So computer science in India is in engineering. Now we are seeking applications from people like you who have done BScs or even BA in maths or economics, right? Or physics or chemistry or biology, as long as you've done some maths out there. So the research at Ashoka is going to be different. The research focus is now going to be essentially a non-engineering research focus, right? And so the non-engineering focus will lead to informing the sciences and the social sciences, and it'll be fundamentally of an interdisciplinary character, right? So we already have 3 interdisciplinary CS plus X majors. We have an undergraduate major in CS plus mathematics, we have got an undergraduate major in CS plus entrepreneurship, and we have got an undergraduate major in CS plus philosophy. And within the next 3 semesters, we are going to start CS plus economics, CS plus biology, and perhaps CS plus political science, right? So about 30% of all undergraduate students engage with the department. The department is small. It has currently only 6 faculty. So I was still for the last 2 years at Ashoka full time. Currently, I'm back at IIT Delhi, but I hope to join back Ashoka in September 1st, 2023. Though we are a small department, we already have significant amount of funding. As you can see that we have funding from Facebook, we have funding from Huawei, we have funding from Defense Labs, we have an open-ended funding from the Emphasis Corporation. And we have fairly decent research infrastructure to support already. And apart from these 6 full-time people, there are about 6 or 7 others people who engage with us part-time, like from various IITs and other institutions, to do research on a variety of topics. So the School of Advanced Computing at Ashoka, as I said, will be situated in a liberal arts college, and its aim will be to bring computational thinking to multidisciplinary research, right? Um, what will make the CS program at Ashoka distinctive and enable people such as you who come from backgrounds in the sciences or the humanities to shift to Ashoka? Because Ash- computing at Ashoka will try to cut across disciplines. It will facilitate productive research and collaboration within CS and other fields. So it will try to inform the social sciences, the political sciences, the uh, climate change, economics, physics, astrophysics, biology. Uh, so do we will not do just disciplinary computer science, but interdisciplinarity will be a major focus out there, right? And we will seamlessly integrate with the other disciplines. We'll build unique data sets to support data science research. And we will focus on collaborative partnerships and new research questions in governance, healthcare, uh, partner with the industry, academy, yeah, governments, and so on and so forth. That's the vision, right? And that's where we are inviting you to do your research and set your research career. So the main goal of the Ashoka School of Advanced Computing will be to bring computational thinking to the social sciences in India. So contrary to what people think, computer science is not just about computers. Computer science is not just about coding, right? Computer science is not just about writing programs or doing machine learning, right? So computer science is, the history of computers is only about 80 years old. The first electronic computer was built in 1945, right? But the history of computing is at least 10,000 years old. In computer science, we teach algorithms, we start teaching algorithms. That goes back to the Egyptians, that goes back to uh, the Sumerians and the Babylonians and the Chinese and the Vedic. And those algorithms are still in use. So algorithmic thinking or computational thinking has a very rich history that goes much beyond the history of the computers. So we believe, and I believe, that it's a fundamental strand of epistemology. It's a method of reasoning. It's a thinking style, right? So it is not just about computation, but it's also about understanding and modeling social processes, physical processes, modeling processes such as election, to understand election campaign, to understand uh, formation of opinion through social media or through newspapers, how opinions spread, how rumors spread, how fake news spread. So all of these reasoning about all these problems is also computer science, and that's what we want to bring into it. And computer science has its own argumentative method. So we are the only discipline that talk about impossibility results. We talk about limits of computation, universal computation, logic, and we plan to bring all that into research informing the social sciences. So the fundamental strands of computer science that we will do, of course, algorithm design is central in its correctness and complexity. Of course, we'll do data-driven models, AI and machine learning. We will focus on causal inference, bring techniques of AI and ML and causal inference to understand that what are the causal reasons for such diseases like diabetes, and data-driven models to understand diabetes, to understand hypertension, to understand how diseases spread, to understand epidemiology. And those are the kind of exciting questions that we plan to bring to you. Right. And finally, the computer science at Ashoka will be distinctive in the way that it will aim to inform public policy in a big way. So the goal will be impactful research towards disciplinary questions in CS and core of computing about about how the computer works, what is the system, what are the fundamental algorithms. So that's standard core computer science. But it will also ask new research questions in the natural and social sciences, in astrophysics, apply AI to astrophysics, apply computing techniques to understand genomics, to understand the genetic basis of cancer, and machine learning techniques to understand genetic basis of cancer, and so on and so forth, to apply computer science to political science, to election campaigning, to elections, and so on and so forth. And of course, to talk about social and ethical impacts of computing. And now with the digitization reaching public life in such a large way, the ethics of digitization, ethics of AI have become very crucial issues. And there are exciting research questions that can come up in those domains. We are partnering with a very large number of organizations, both within India and elsewhere. And within Ashoka, we have partnerships with a host of other disciplines other than CS, right, which we plan to leverage. So short-term goals is to recruit top-class faculty. We have 6. By September, when the semester starts, we'll hopefully be 8. We have a very modern curriculum. We plan to do quality research. We're interdisciplinary, build startups, and create collaboration opportunities all over. So within Ashoka, we collaborate with the Trivedi School of Biosciences. There's a Center for Economic Data Analysis and the Trivedi Center for Political Data. Those are 2 unique research centers at Ashoka. We collaborate with the Center for Behavioral Sciences, which is another unique department as Ashoka, on sociology and social problem. Ashoka has a Center for Climate Change and Sustainability. It's one of the few universities that pioneered such a center, and we collaborate deeply with it. Ecology, satellite data processing, pollution, use machine learning to understand pollution, and of course, mathematics and entrepreneurship. Collaboration outside Ashoka. Max Healthcare. Max is one of the largest group of hospitals in northern India, and they have 36 hospitals in all over India, and we have access to all their data. We have a partnership with them by which on well-defined research questions, they make their data available to us, and we have exciting collaborative projects going on in cancer, triple-negative breast cancer. That's a big project that we are working with them, and also trying to understand the causal pathways of diabetes and hypertension. Those are killer diseases in India. We collaborate with the Niti Aayog, we collaborate with the Election Commission, IIT Delhi, that's where I am sitting right now. We have joint faculty hiring program with Google Research. We collaborate with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. I work with All India Institute of Medical Sciences for over 20 years now, and other partner institutes in India and elsewhere. So the School of Advanced Computing, the research, we are starting with some focused research themes, and these will be research centers at Ashoka. So let me very quickly describe the research centers that the School of Advanced Computing will have. The vision and the objective for all the centers will be to bring new research context, right? So we plan to work on research context that is unique to India and Ashoka, right? So we don't want to copy research problems from the United States or from a foreign journal and do derivative research. So we want to discover new, exciting research context from our neighborhoods, from northern India, from our homes, from our education institutes, from our hospitals, from our politics, and so on and so forth. So grow core CS strength around focused research themes, promote entrepreneurship, inform public policy, build partnerships with others. So the first center that is already just started, it's just been a few months that the center is in place, is a Center for Data Science and Analytics. And so you may know now data science has become the base of evidence-based research or evidence-based policy making. Now, whether you make economic policy or climate policy or political policy or weather policy, it is becoming increasingly data-driven. So our emphasis in the center will be research and teaching, capacity building. And unlike others, we are going to build a repository of data, of economic data, of political data, of climate data, of Mandi data, of agricultural data, of pollution data, of climate change data, and we are already building it. And within a year, I think that we will be one of the largest repository of public data uh, in many of these areas. Um, and this data science center will provide shared services and support to all data endeavors at Ashoka, right? Be it in physics, be it in biology, be it in political science, be it in economics, and so on and so forth. And this center will form a bedrock for interdisciplinary research out here, right? So we will, as I already mentioned, Ashoka has two very popular data centers. These are already very famous data centers, Center for Economic Data Analysis, so which is actually India's largest repository for public economic data. And Trivedi Center for Political Data, they have election data from last 100 years. And so this data is taken from Election Commission, but cleaned up and made available. So if you, and now for the recent years, we even have panchayat level election data. So if you want to do research in political science, this is your go-to data source, right? And we are planning to augment it with data from agriculture, ecology, climate, sustainability, food and nutrition, health, astronomy, traffic, pollution, you name it. And I think that I'm very hopeful that within a year or two, this will be the one of the richest data repository that we will be able to make available to the research community. Uh, CHART is a center for health analytic research and trends. And this is a center that has been in operation for about 1 year now. And this is a center that we share with the Trivedi School of Biosciences. And the kind of questions that we ask in this center, so this is data-driven health analytics. And that's the goal of the center. So we do radiology and pathology, we do genomics out there. We are trying to understand the genetic sources for the triple negative breast cancer, the genetic signature for the triple negative breast cancer, which is one of the largest killers in India. We are trying to develop techniques for personalized healthcare, using wearables, constant monitoring, trying to understand the causal reasons for diabetes and hypertension. Ashoka has been a major player in COVID modeling and epidemiology, disease spread. And now COVID is gone, but TB is very much there. Tuberculosis is the largest killer in India and is not still very well understood. It's known that it's an infectious disease, but exactly the pathway of the spread and how it spreads across, we are doing mathematical modeling to understand all that. And there are a huge number of collaborators with whom we are working. Center for Digitization and Society, and this is the one that I will head. So let me spend a few minutes on this. India has seen digitization in public life like no other country has dared, right? In the last decade since Aadhaar happened. So we are the only country in the world that does national elections using electronic voting machines, or electoral rolls are electronic. We are the only country in the world that has a national digital identity and authentication system. The US has a social security number, but it is not an authentication system. And we have Aadhaar. And we have been able to create the digital identity for 1.3 billion people. We are building, we have the world's largest payment system in UPI. Our welfare system, we are a welfare state, and a huge part of our economy goes into the public distribution system of ration, direct benefit transfer, Narega, and all these systems have now got digitized completely. We have got a blockchain-based digital currency given by the RBI, and we do the census. The Home Minister has announced that the next census will be on digital. There is a digital public good endeavor that is going on. So these provide enormous opportunities. There's no doubt about it. UPI has 600 million people use UPI, and even for small payments like 5 rupees and 10 rupees. This has empowered people to do business and so on and so forth. But the reason that no other country has not done it is not because they could or they don't have the technical skills to do it. That's far from true. But moment you do digitalization, there is the concern of privacy that comes in. Right? There's a concern of fraud that comes in. There's a concern of identity theft that comes in. There's a concern of exclusion that comes in. There's a social concern that what does it mean to digitalize in a country where still not only digital illiteracy, but illiteracy is so high, right? So there are people who are not digitally literate. And if you make things digital, there is a cultural question of can they interact with the digital system correctly, or do they get left out? So do we create a digital divide, or we don't create a digital? So the endeavor of this center is to ask theoretical questions around all of this, right? To look at, if you have to do digital design, do an audit of these systems, that what are the lacunae, what are the shortcomings, correct them, do they need improvement? How can you make digitalization inclusive? How do you ensure that nobody is left out? And how do you ensure that you're ethical and you're fair, you're non-discriminatory, right? So there's a whole lot of theoretical and practical questions that we are going to ask around this. And we invite you to join the research in many of these areas. The last center, and we are signing an MOU for the center on August 9th. This center will be announced in August 9th. So maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit and announcing the center in this small webinar. And Rizwan Koita, who is an entrepreneur, who is the leading entrepreneur of the country, has sponsoring the Center for Digital Health. The objective of the center will be predictive, preventive, participatory, and personalized healthcare. It will be a central objective that when the body is diseased, healthcare should not start when the body is already diseased, but the healthcare should be preventive. The healthcare should be based on your exposure to stress, pollution. It should be individualized. Hypertension in one individual is not the same as hypertension in another individual. Human bodies react differently to diabetes. So personalized healthcare will be a major emphasis of the center. Epidemiology, of course. So we are thinking of integrating the Center for Health Analytics into the center, right? Into the larger umbrella of the Quetta Center for Digital Health. India is building the Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, right? So which is all of our health records will be digital and publicly available. The government has decided to build it, and within the next 2-3 years, we'll have digital health records for 1.3 billion people, right? But the theoretical framework for data sharing, data management, data privacy, genetic data privacy, how such a data will be shared across hospitals, will it be consent-based? How do you do purpose limitation, and so on and so forth? So data management is a huge set of computer science questions. And the last two bullets are essentially computer science bullets, right? So this center, again, will straddle across biology and computer science, but computer science will have a huge role to play in this center. And we will take people from engineering background, CS background, economics background, physics background. So multidisciplinary is the word, right? And we already are in partnership with Johns Hopkins, AIMS, IIIT Hyderabad, Botner Labs, Max Healthcare regarding this center, right? So these are the 4 exciting centers, and we request you to join the party, apply to us, do a master's come PhD, and participate in the exciting research opportunity that we'll be able to create together, right? Ashoka has a stellar advisory council. Though the School of Advanced Computing is not there, we have formed an advisory council already, and these are people of very high eminence who are advising us on how to set up these research centers. So I'll stop here, and I'll revisit some of these issues if there are specific questions. And if you have any questions on either what I have talked on or the integrated PhD program, feel free to ask, right? Yeah. Chanda, over to you. I'll stop sharing the screen.
Thank you, Professor, for the engaging talk and letting us know about the different projects that are happening in digitization and society field at Ashoka. Now, let us move forward with this webinar by taking up some audience questions. So, one of the question that I found was somebody is asking about, are we expected to furnish a research proposal with this application?
You are very young at this stage. So I think that it will be unfair for us to submit a research proposal, to ask you to mandate that you submit a research proposal, right? So it's not mandatory. It's not essential that you submit a research proposal out there. So it is quite all right if you say that what I'll research on is still unclear to me. I'll come to Ashoka, I'll do courses, I'll learn, and I'll submit my research proposal 2 years down the line. Right? That said, if you already have a germination of a research idea in your mind and you have some problems, however well formed or not so well formed they may be, we would be delighted to hear about them. Right? So if you can submit a research proposal or some research ideas, don't be shy. Even if it is not complete, even if it is incomplete, even if it is a dream, right? Please feel free to submit to us, and we will definitely read them and try to discuss them. Yeah, you're welcome to submit a research proposal, but it's not mandatory.
Okay. So, one of the common theme that I am finding here is related to the multidisciplinary area. So, somebody is asking, could you tell us more about the ongoing projects in the economics or in the social sciences disciplines with intersection to computer science?
Okay, so let's take economics. One of the questions that we are asking jointly with some of our economics colleagues is that, so in economics, understanding consumption is a very important thing. And traditionally in India, the way the consumption data is formed is by the National Sample Survey. Right? So India has one of the best sample survey system set up by Prashanto Mahalnavis, who set up the Indian Statistical Institution. And National Sample Survey, so survey is not a census. Census is where you visit every household. Survey is where you sample a statistically significant set of households and try to measure the country's consumption patterns, how much of food grains they are consuming, how much of various commodities they are consuming, how much of clothing they are consuming, and village-wise, district-wise, based on the sample survey data. But now there is another source of data from where you can get a more accurate estimate of consumption, and that is GST. Right? So everybody in India pays taxes. If you buy anything at all, you end up paying a goods and services tax on GST, and that gives you a very good estimate of consumption data and how to make the sample survey an alternative to the sample survey with a very high volume GST data is a question that we are involved in. The other kind of questions that we are involved in is India has one of the biggest problem of this country, actually of this part of the world, Pakistan, Bangladesh included, is childhood stunting. So the stunting rate in India at the beginning of this, and 2000 was 50%, and now it has come down to about 36, 37%. So 36, 37% of India's children are stunted, especially in northern India. That means that their height and weight per age is low, right? 36% is huge. That's more than 1/3 of the population. And if you are stunted physically, then your mental facilities don't develop. So it's very unlikely that you'll be able to go through school and pass school. If you're stunted, then you will be unfit, of course, for physical labor, right? And with 36% of the population being stunted, they are going to be a burden on the economy. So talking about things like GDP growth and so on, so they're a little meaningless when 36% of your people cannot participate in the labor economy. So what are the causal pathways of stunting? What causes stunting? It was thought that it is malnutrition, but malnutrition in India has come down by 30 to 35% over the last 20 years. Stunting has not reduced, right? So we are working with the economics department and the biology department to do special service to see that, is it micronutrient deficiency? Is it the episodes in pregnancy? Is it malnutrition in pregnancy that is causing? Is it iron deficiency, folate deficiency, or is it just infection? That is causing the stunting. So these are the kind of questions we are asking with economics. With biology, we are asking questions like triple negative breast cancer. Right, that's the biggest killer in India. One of the biggest. Almost every family has lost somebody or the other family friend or some, on triple negative breast cancer, and the prognosis is still very bad. What are the early detection? What are the genetic signature? Can you do targeted genetic therapy for triple negative breast cancer? These are some of the questions that we are asking with biology. With political science, modern elections are fought digitally, right? So if I have to sway your opinion, 20 years back, I would go and do Naragiri in your home, outside your home, that vote for Congress, vote for BJP, vote for this, that, or the other. Not anymore. Now I'll profile you. I'll look at your economic consumption level. From your name, I'll try to figure out that this village is the caste domination or the religion domination of this village. And I'll try to do very targeted campaigning. Right? I'll try to map your mind to see that what kind of political orientation you have. If you don't support me and you will never support me, I won't even campaign. If you will always support me, I know I'll also not campaign. So I'll target those fence sitters. And there's a huge amount of computer science techniques that can go into this kind of election campaign, both legally and illegally. We won't do the illegal part, but we'll certainly do the legal part of it, right? And also voting, electronic voting, how to secure the electronic voters list, right? How to maintain the privacy of the voters list and yet make it transparent, right? So what kind of cryptography can we use to do this? So these are some of the open multidisciplinary research questions. So there are many more.
Okay. So continuing with this multidisciplinary area, people want to know, do we have a program for quantum computing here in the department?
Yes, I mean, quantum computing is not really multidisciplinary, right? The word quantum is there, but there's very little physics actually. There's no reason to build a quantum computer unless you can show that the quantum computer is decidedly superior to a classical computer, and nobody has shown that as yet. And showing that is a very open computer science problem. There is one problem that a quantum computer can solve much faster than a classical computer, and that is factoring. Factoring as in 15 is equal to 3 into 5, right? So if it is a small number like 15, we can write an algorithm to factorize the 3 into 5. But if we take let's say a thousand digit number or even a 500 digit number, actually we don't know how to factor such a number into constituent primes. There is this problem was posed 2,300 years back by Euclid that gave a good algorithm for this problem. And we, as yet, don't have a good algorithm for factoring. So what have we done? We have based the strength of all our cryptographic security on the assumption that nobody will be able to factor a large composite into its constituent primes, right? So this is the basis of all modern cryptography, your banking, your stock exchange, and so on and so forth. So if one of you can quickly find an algorithm that will factor large numbers into constituent primes, we can take out the HDFC Bank like that, right? So all banking will fail in a single day. All stock exchange will fail in a single day because the cryptographic security of everything is built on the assumption that nobody knows how to factor. There is, however, a quantum algorithm for factoring very fast. So if you had a quantum computer at your disposal and not this desktop that I'm talking to you through, there is a well-known algorithm by Peter Shor that you will be able to factor extremely fast, right? So we are worried, quantum computers are coming, and lo and behold, what happens to banking? What happens to stock exchange? What happens to communication? What happens to Zoom, right? What if somebody has a quantum computer and can break code? If cryptography fails, everything will come to a standstill in a single day. So a big question is, if you have got a quantum computer, then you want a security, cryptographic security, which is quantum grade, right? And that is something that's a subject called post-quantum cryptography, which means that suppose you had a quantum computer, how can you build cryptographic techniques that are safe from even quantum algorithms, right? So that subject is called post-quantum cryptography. And Ashoka currently has 3 faculty members working on post-quantum cryptography. So we have funding from Joint Cryptography Research Bureau, which is the Defense Lab. I cannot discuss the research for obvious reasons out there. We have got a grant from a system analysis group. That's again a defense lab, a think tank, for post-quantum cryptography. So while we are not directly working in quantum algorithms, we are working on the cryptographic aspects of quantum computing very much. And we do offer courses on quantum computing. And so if you have interest in quantum computing, you'll certainly be able to pursue that interest.
Okay. Also, with the multidisciplinary area, one person is asking about the astrophysical problems using AI and soft computing techniques. Is it allowed to work on such computational astronomical problems here?
Oh, absolutely. Astronomy is one area, has 2 advantages, right? One is that they are, their data is the best organized and publicly available. There is no other discipline that is so data rich as astronomy. And all astronomical research laboratories in the world, they share their data with any researcher all over the world. So astronomers don't sit onto my data. The medical world do, right? Is my data, I won't share, that kind of thing. Whereas astronomers are very open-hearted. So you can get data from MIT, Berkeley, the biggest telescopes in the world, the radio telescopes. So data is not a problem, right? You just need to have space to download it and use it. So you can access astronomy data just as well as the best astronomy researchers sitting anywhere in the world. You have the same access, right? The second good thing about astronomy is that Ashoka has 2 outstanding theoretical astronomers, and both work on machine learning for astronomy. One is the Vice Chancellor, Professor Shomak Rai Chaudhuri. And if you go to Ashoka webpage, or if you search on Twitter, just yesterday or day before, he has made a podcast which is available on YouTube, and I saw it from YouTube, but I think it is available also from Ashoka website, where he's talking about the opportunities of doing AI research in astronomy and astrophysics, right? To bringing artificial intelligence in astrophysics is the topic of the podcast. So, and he's the expert. So what I'll do is that rather than I trying to explain, I'll urge you to go and listen to that podcast of his. It is Professor Shomak Rai Chaudhuri, AI in astrophysics. Just do a Google search and you will find it. Otherwise, go to the Ashoka webpage, you'll find it. Otherwise, write to Chanda and we will make the link available to you, right? It's publicly available. And the astrophysics group have big plans of doing AI research in astrophysics. So if astrophysics is your dream, do come and check us out and visit us. Talk to Professor Dipankar Bhattacharya and Professor Shomak Rai Chaudhary. Visit their web pages. They'll be delighted to talk to you. So even before you apply, you can just go to Sonepat and check them out. Right? Or at least go to the web page and check.
Okay. So next question is not related to MSc and PhD program, but somebody is asking about the postdoctorate in the field of digital history in the coming future. So this person has already completed his or her doctorate degree. So is there any possibility to do postdoctorate in this field?
Yes, I don't know about the funding, but I'm sure we'll find funding. And one of India's most noted ancient historian is Professor Nayanjot Lahiri. Right, her books on ancient history are very, very famous, and actually on Ashoka. Nayanjot has a very ambitious project right now that she's working on. And this is understanding the history of diseases in India. That she is asking the question that during the Vedic period or even before in the Harappan civilization, in Rakhigarhi, in Harappa, in Mohenjo-daro, what kind of viral diseases did they have? What killed people? Did they have common cold, or was the common cold then different from the common cold now? And this is a heavily funded project at Ashoka, and she is threatening us that we have to get involved. So we haven't, because we have not understood the problem as yet. But she's got a huge funding. She's deeply interested in this problem, and that is one aspect of digital history of diseases that we have on our plate, and we have to respond very quickly. So we are reading and getting prepared to make some sensible noise about it. Right now, none of us know how to talk sensibly about the problem. Also, not very far from Ashoka, in Sonepat, is the largest Harappan site called Rakhigarhi. Right, it is 5 or 6 times the size of Harappa, which is in Pakistan, near Lahore. Rakhigarhi is just 40-45 kilometers from Sonepat, and Sonepat itself has a few Harappan sites, right? And also, Rakhigarhi is the only site in India from where they have found 36 mummies, dead bodies, reasonably well preserved, right? And this gives a huge opportunity of doing genetic research in ancient human bodies. People are trying to figure out what they ate from the lipid profiles from those dead bodies, and the history department is engaged. The computer science department is not that engaged as yet in this problem. Not because we don't want to, but because we don't know how to, right? But we will learn, and if you have interest, certainly there is an opportunity of doing that at Ashoka. Ashoka is probably some of the best ancient historians in the country, and while we have not yet collaborated, we are looking forward to such collaboration.
Okay. So one person is asking about the data that is being used for the research projects that are being done at Ashoka University. Are those data publicly available? Can they get access to those data?
Yes, yes. Um, so take the Center for Economic Data Analysis. So bulk of their data, I would say 80 to 90% of their data are government data, right? What you can get from various ministries and so on and so forth. Now, if you go to the various ministries and try to generate their file, you will find half the data in PDF, half the data in a strange format. And by the time you do all the data conversion and start your research, it will be a mind-boggling task. So the Center for Economic Data Analysis has done all that for you. They've cleaned up the data. It is all government data that they've sucked in. Every survey or every census that the government has done, you can get it from the Ashoka SIDA website. And since it is public data, they also disseminate it publicly. They have made it available publicly. But they have also bought some proprietary data for their research, right? So their repository has two parts. Bulk of it is public data, which you can freely access. What they have bought and curated for their own research by paying money, clearly they cannot make it public. So that part of it is not public. But if you work with them on specific research questions, then under a non-disclosure agreement, you can certainly access this data. So on specific research questions, the data will be accessible by you, right? But to the general public, no. Small part of the data, of economic data, will not be accessible. Political data, all of it is government data, so all of it is accessible freely. Right? You can just visit their website right now and try to download their data.
So next question is related to the eligibility of this program. So one person has done his MSc in biotech from IIT Bombay. He's asking, he has the knowledge of, he has done some courses in bioinformatics and in basics of coding. So
Right now, all that we require, the only eligibility is that you've got a bachelor's degree from a discipline where you have done calculus, basic maths. So if you've done physics, if you've done chemistry, if you've done mathematics, if you've done economics, if you've done statistics, computer science, you will qualify. So we don't expect you to know computer science. We don't expect you to know bioinformatics. If you know those things, that's a plus, right? But as long as you've done basic maths, physics, basic sciences, or basic economics, or basic statistics, you can come in. So the first 2 years of the program, we will teach you computer science, right? So we will start not from the level where we start the bachelor's program. We'll start from a higher level, because we will assume that you have the mathematical training or familiarity, right? Which our undergraduate students don't have. So we will cover the ground a little fast, and we expect that in 2 years, we will convert you to computer science, right? And then you will be able to take on computer science and interdisciplinary research at Ashoka. Yeah, that's the goal. So the program is two parts. After a BSc or a BA, there's a 2 years master's part where you will learn computer science. And there is a 4+ years, 4-year PhD is a little optimistic. We say it, but almost nobody has finished. Chanda, how many years are you estimating? Typically, I did it in 5, right? So that's sort of par, right? 5 years. So 4.5, 5 is a PhD part where we'll do research. That's the structure of the program.
Is there any age limit for enrolling into this program? Is somewhat eligibility related to age?
I don't know. I don't know whether there's a rule at Ashoka that prevents you. My suggestion to you would be to apply anyway, right? I don't think that. I think I'm still very young. Look at my white mustache, but if I can learn new subjects, anybody else can, right? So I think age should not be a factor, and I would be very mad if somebody said to me that you can't study a subject because you're an old man, and I definitely don't want to say that to anybody. Having said that, we don't know whether there's a rule that prevents it, right? I doubt it, but so do apply and we'll find out. And we'll try to work around it.
Okay. So there are some logistics related questions like when can be the admission test will held?
Okay, so
other events.
So I just found out from the organizers before coming here. So the admission test is planned on the 17th of August, and it will be a physical test at 3 centers. We will have one center in Kolkata, we'll have one center in Bangalore, and we'll have one center in Ashoka, right? So the Delhi and Northern India people can come to Ashoka, the Eastern India people can go to Bangalore. Kolkata, and the southern people can go to Bangalore. We are hoping to have one more center at Bombay, but that's not fixed. So 17th will be the test. Tentatively, 20th will be an interview. So if you can come to Ashoka, the interview will be physical. But if you can't make it for whatever reason, we'll be happy to do an online interview if you qualify in the test. We will be hopeful that we will be able to declare the result by 21st of August. 17th is the test, 20th is the interview, 21st we'll let you know the result, and 28th the semester starts at Ashoka, and you and I, we are both ready to fly, right? Yeah. So we will wrap up everything from 17th to 28th, and we will announce the result on 21st.
So one more question related to the logistics. One person is asking, since it's an MSc PhD integrated program, so will the person get awarded MSc degree after 2 years of completion of this program, or will it be awarded just after the completion of MSc and PhD altogether?
No, so this MSc will have a scholarship. For the MSc part, you will get 20,000 rupees per month scholarship. And so, of course, there'll be a tuition fee and an accommodation to pay for, but it's a paid program. So this program is an integrated PhD program. So while there's an exit option at MSc after MSc, we would not like you to exit, right, after having taken scholarship and so on. So we would like you to continue for PhD. So the MSc degree, we will give you a little delayed so that you just don't finish the MSc and, paid MSc is, the university, the MSc is not paid. So since it is a paid MSc, we would expect you to continue to PhD. So we may give you the MSc degree if we decide that, and you decide together, we decide that the PhD is not really working out for you in the rare situation, then we will allow you to exit with an MSc degree, but it will be a delayed MSc, maybe 4 years or thereabouts, right? Yeah. Though the MSc part will normally finish in 2 years, but the degree will, if you leave with an MSc, you'll have to spend longer time.
The next theme that I'm finding here is related to the admission test and the interview process. Like, what will be the parameters that you will consider for the assessment, and
Okay.
how should prepare for the interview and the written test?
First, the written test, basic mathematics, basic probability, basic calculus, basic linear algebra, right? So basic counting, combinatorics, permutation, combination. So be prepared. The test will be first or second year level maths, right? So for the physics people, we may put in a few physics related questions. For the biology, but those will be optional sections, right? We may not put in those questions at all, right? There'll be no computer science that we'll ask. We are not expecting you to know computer science. But since you're applying to computer science, we may ask some elementary programming questions, absolutely elementary algorithmic and programming, related to some multiplication or GCD or, very, very simple algorithmic questions, but fundamentally simple mathematics questions, calculus, linear algebra, probability statistics, and you're good to go. Regarding the interview, again, the same. Right? The questions will be on basics. And we may ask you, actually, we will ask you, that why do you want to do a PhD in computer science? I think that you have to think about that a little bit. Right? That question will certainly ask you. So that's a giveaway.
Yeah. One more question. I think it's the last question. So, how many seats are there for this program in the Ashoka University? Is it fixed for this year or?
No, so no. I mean, it's fixed, but you don't have to worry about that. I think that if you're good, if you're qualified, we like you, we'll take you.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Thank you for answering all these questions. Now we can end this session. We can move forward. So thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. I hope you enjoyed being part of our discussion on research on digitization and society at Ashoka. Before we wrap up the session, we would really appreciate it if you could please take a minute to share your valuable feedback with us. The link to the feedback form is provided in the chat box. Please note that the recording of this session will be available on Ashoka's YouTube channel. In case you would like to share it with your friends, please note that the deadline to apply to the integrated MSc PhD program at Ashoka University is 31st July 2023. The application link for this is provided in the chat box. I urge you to apply soon. If you have any further queries regarding the integrated MSc PhD program, feel free to write us at cs@ashoka.edu.in. Once again, I thank you all for taking out time to participate in this discussion. This brings us to the end of this session. Please take care and stay safe.
So thank you for your patience, and thank you for your questions. Right. So please take us seriously and do apply.
Bye.
Bye.